Thanks to Summers' duplicity, Schmidt was picked up soon after his arrival and taken to Camp 020 for interrogation.
How long have you been here?
Where?
In England.
In England? I have not been here now before since the 15th of July.
I believe you're telling me lies, are you?
It is true.
You have been working for the Germans, you've been trained as a wireless operator, and you were landed by parachute.
No.
Yes.
No, I have never been with the Germans.
Yes, you have.
No, absolutely no.
Now look here, my man. I know more about you than you think. You're in a very dangerous position. You're going to be shot as a spy, so you had better start telling me the truth.
I know it is dangerous, but I cannot tell you more than
Don't start telling me lies. I know all about you, so the sooner you tell me the truth, the better.
Yes. Yes.
So, come. Tell me the truth. It's the only hope you've got.
On the second day of the interrogation, Colonel Stevens succeeded in breaking Schmidt by telling him that he'd been betrayed by his old friend from the Abwehr training course, Gustav Caroli, alias Summer. Schmidt, an ardent Nazi, stopped claiming innocence and agreed to work for MI5. Schmidt was given the code name Tate and moved to a safe house near Radlett, north of London. MI5 groomed him as a major double-cross spy. 1 month after his arrest, Tate was told to send a first message to German intelligence. He explained that the delay in transmission was due to an injury incurred during his jump, but that he was now ready for duty. The question was, would the Abwehr believe his story? Amazingly, they did. In their Hamburg station, Schmidt's Abwehr controllers were elated. After the loss of so many of their agents, the German intelligence officers welcomed anyone who got through.
Ich begebe mich selbstverständlich sofort in die Auswertung.
Richtig. Dort finden Sie folgende Luftlage vor. Die Karte zur Lage im Westraum.
By now, the Nazis had all but abandoned the planned invasion of Britain. But having a spy on the other side of the channel was still considered a coup for the Abwehr officers who were in charge. Inga Haag worked in the office of the head of the German Abwehr.
It was a great success. It meant something, but it was more prestige. I am important because in my job, I do a good job. I have sent so many agents here or there, and it was more important to have an agent in Britain than an agent in Switzerland.
News of the Abwehr's success was eagerly passed on to Hitler, who before the war had been lukewarm about spying on Britain. Now the Führer was delighted, bragging to his confidants that the Nazis had an agent in London who sent up to 29 radio messages a day. Tate, like all double agents in Britain, was run by the MI5 subsection B1A. It operated from inconspicuous offices in central London. B1A's work was overseen by the highly secret 20 Committee, which represented different Whitehall departments. Its Roman numerals XX stood for Double Cross. Newly released documents of the Tate case show how the double agent was used for the purpose of deception in the war against German submarines. Through Tate's transmissions, MI5 convinced the Germans of the existence of a bogus minefield in the North Atlantic. It helped to deter U-boats pursuing Allied convoys between America and Britain. Throughout all this, the Germans were unaware not only of Tate's duplicity, but also of the fact that British intelligence had broken some of the secret codes used in the Abwehr's internal radio traffic.
By the end of 1940, we really were reading an enormous amount of what the Germans were doing and knew quite a lot about their plans. That helped enormously in running the double agents, because not only were we able to track the whole planning for the disposition and the sending over the double agents, but we were able to see, when they sent back this bogus information, whether it was believed or not.
Operating from their secret premises in Bletchley Park, British codebreakers eventually managed to crack the Nazis' reputedly unbreakable Enigma machine, which was used to encode most German military radio traffic. This source of information, known as Ultra, gave the British a crucial advantage over the Abwehr.
Well, it meant everything, really, because, for one thing, when we were running double agents, we could know whether we were deceiving the enemy or not. We could also know who they were going to send. We'd probably be monitoring his training over there before he actually arrived. You know, it was as good as that.
In May 1941, the Germans sent another agent, the Czech national Karel Richter, to supply Wolf Schmidt with British currency. Was the new arrival another potential double-cross candidate? Richter desperately tried to stay in hiding, but was picked up by members of the Home Guard and sent to Camp 020. His interrogation was unusually complicated. Richter soon trapped himself in a web of inconsistencies. Joyce Hall worked at Camp 020 and took notes during Richter's interrogation.
He claimed that he had some small misdemeanor in Germany, and anyhow the police got onto him, and that he was forced to come across to spy, but according to him, he had been beaten up and told he was got to come across and do a job over here, and that until he sent back any message from this country, his wife was in their hands too. So that one felt terribly sorry for him. I felt pathetic little creature, that what would you do if your wife was being threatened? But on the other hand, one has to have the nous to say, yes, but are we sure that this wasn't the cover story that the Germans thought up for him?
Richter was taken back to the field where he had landed. These pictures were taken by MI5 at the time. Unfortunately for Richter, his arrest had been noticed by members of the public. There was the danger that the Abwehr might become aware of his internment. MI5 believed that Richter was either inept and unreliable or a master spy sent to check up on Tate. Either way, he seemed unsuitable as a double agent.
I remember being in tears quite a lot, giving the semblance of cooperating. A sort of a foolish little chap that had got embroiled in it for some reason or another, but an arch criminal, no.
Although Richter appeared to be cooperative, MI5 decided not to accept him as a double agent. Instead, they washed their hands of him, and Richter was handed over to the public prosecutor. He was tried by a jury and found guilty of espionage.
The number of agents, of course, were handed over for execution. The Treachery Act provided the death penalty for espionage and sabotage.
So these agents were just pawns in a big game, weren't
yes.
they?
And they were more or less, yes, with regret written off.
In MI5, it was rather like a game. It was, playing a game. You picked up the clues here and you picked up the clues there. It was like a treasure hunt in many ways. And then suddenly, it was an execution morning. And everything went very quiet.